In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and lush green fields, there lived a father and his 2 sons. The elder son, Thomas, was diligent and responsible. He worked the family farm from dawn until dusk, taking great pride in his contributions. The younger son, Jacob, was restless, filled with dreams of adventure and a desire to explore the world beyond the confines of his father's estate. One day, overwhelmed with a longing for freedom, Jacob approached his father. "Father," he said, his voice filled with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, "give me my share of the inheritance. I want to see the world and make a life of my own." The father, a man of wisdom and compassion, looked deeply into his son's eyes. He could see the yearning for independence and the struggle within Jacob's heart. After a moment of silence, he nodded, understanding the weight of his son's request. "Very well, my son. I wish you the best on your journey," he replied, his voice steady despite the ache in his heart. With a heavy sigh, the father divided the estate. Jacob took his portion, a substantial amount of money, and set off into the world, his heart racing with anticipation. In the bustling city, Jacob felt like a bird unleashed from its cage. The sounds, scents, and sights dazzled him. He quickly settled into a lavish lifestyle, indulging in extravagant parties, fine dining, and new friendships that appeared as fleeting as the sunset. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months, as Jacob reveled in the excitement of life outside his father's home. But as time went on, the allure of wealth faded and reality crept in. Jacob spent his inheritance with reckless abandon, unaware of the consequences of his actions. Soon, his funds dwindled, and the friendships he had once cherished evaporated like morning mist. Stripped of his lavish lifestyle, Jacob found himself alone, broke, and unable to find work. Desperation set in as he wandered the city streets, searching for a glimmer of hope. Eventually, Jacob secured a job feeding pigs in a nearby farm, a far cry from the luxurious life he had once led. He often watched the pigs gobble up their slop, his stomach growling as he envied their abundance. For the first time since leaving home, he felt the weight of his choices crash down on him like a tidal wave. He missed his father, the warmth of their home, and the love that had always surrounded him. In the solitude of the pigpen, Jacob reflected on his life. He recalled the moments of laughter and love shared with his family, the wisdom imparted by his father, and the simple joys of life on the farm. He came to a painful realization. He had taken for granted the love and support that had always been there for him. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he thought of the disappointment he must have caused his father. One starry night, while gazing at the vast sky, Jacob made a decision. "I will return to my father," he whispered to himself, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. "I will confess my mistakes and ask for his forgiveness. Perhaps he will take me back as a servant." The next morning, Jacob embarked on the journey home. Each step felt like a mountain to climb, the weight of regret heavy on his shoulders. As he approached the familiar winding path to their home, nostalgia washed over him, but so did fear. What would his father say? Would he even want to see him after everything that had happened? Meanwhile, the father had spent every day waiting at the edge of the village, gazing down the road with faithfulness. His heart had ached for Jacob since the day he left, and he often prayed for his son's safety. On that day, as he stood at the familiar spot, he spotted a figure in the distance. His heart raced, and as the figure drew nearer, he recognized his son. Without hesitation, the father sprinted toward Jacob, arms wide open. "My son!" he shouted, his voice filled with overwhelming joy. Jacob, taken aback by his father's love and enthusiasm, fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father knelt beside him, lifting Jacob's chin gently. "You are my son, and you are home," he declared, joy radiating from his every word. "Let us celebrate your return." Overjoyed, the father ordered a feast to be prepared. He called for the finest meat and the sweetest wine, inviting the whole village to celebrate the return of his beloved son. Jacob could hardly comprehend the outpouring of love and acceptance that surrounded him. He had expected anger and resentment, yet here he was, embraced by grace. As the celebrations commenced, the elder son, Thomas, returned home from the fields. Hearing the music and laughter, he paused, a frown crossing his face. Approaching the house, he asked a servant what was happening. "Your brother has come home," the servant replied, "and your father is hosting a grand feast." Jealousy and anger surged within Thomas. He had always been the dutiful son, working hard and obeying their father's every command. Yet his younger sibling, who had squandered their father's wealth, was being celebrated. He refused to enter the house, standing outside with his arms crossed. The father noticed Thomas lingering at the edge of the celebration and went out to him. "Son, why do you stand here?" he asked gently. Thomas looked at his father, frustration pouring out in his words. "I have slaved for you all these years and never disobeyed your commands. Yet you never gave me even a goat to celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours returns, having devoured his inheritance, you celebrate with a feast." The father's heart ached for Thomas. "My dear son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. It is right to celebrate and be glad, for your brother was lost and is found. He was dead and is alive again." In that moment, Thomas realized the depth of his father's love for both him and Jacob. He understood that the joy of the father was not diminished by the return of his brother. Instead, it amplified the love that lived within their home. He stepped inside, choosing to join the celebration, embracing the grace that had always been available to him. A family united, love reignited. As the night wore on, laughter filled the air, and the aroma of good food intertwined with the blessings that poured from their hearts. Jacob, surrounded by warmth and forgiveness, felt a profound sense of gratitude. He had wandered far and made mistakes, but he had come home to the unwavering love of his father, a love that mirrored the grace of God, boundless and unconditional. In this reimagined tale of the prodigal son, the lesson resonates through generations. No matter how distant one may stray, the embrace of grace is always waiting to welcome them home. As we reflect on the journey of Jacob, the prodigal son, we are reminded of the profound power of love, forgiveness, and redemption that transcends all boundaries. Jacob's story teaches us that no matter how far we wander or how many mistakes we make, there is always a path back home, a home filled with compassion and acceptance. Just as the father embraced his wayward son, we too are called to embrace those around us with open hearts. Let us remember that everyone has their own journey, filled with struggles and triumph. In moments of hardship, we should extend grace and forgiveness, just as it has been given to us. So, whether you see yourself as Jacob, yearning for a second chance, or as the father, ready to welcome the lost, let this story inspire us to nurture love and kindness in our lives. Thank you for joining us on this heartfelt exploration of grace. May we all embody the spirit of forgiveness and strive to create a world where everyone feels welcomed and loved. Until next time, keep embracing the beauty of compassion and understanding in your own lives.